we have Lou. Um, Lou, we're excited. I'm very excited to hear from you. We'll pull up your presentation momentarily. Lou currently serves as Senior Innovation Strategist at PSCU. PSCU is not a credit union. It is the largest CUSO in the United States. He currently focuses on real-time payments and cryptocurrency. Lou believes in improving the member experience through the use of strategic innovation. Lou will be talking to us about beyond buying, the risks of offering and not offering Bitcoin buying. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Lou. If you need help with that, just let me know.
I think I'll still here. Is this on? Yep. It's been a long day. It's been a day it's information overload for me, and I am living this stuff probably more than most of you, and even I'm a little overwhelmed. So listen out. Going back to this day, and here's what I want to do. I don't want to throw at you any more new information, but I want to give you a different way to process the information, because cryptocurrency is a paradigm shift. It's something that's not like anything else. So listen, Patricia started the day with definition of currency and money, and remember the human example of a blockchain, and then Nicole took us through the game show, which, by the way, I got one of those wrong too, and I'm probably more involved than most of you, and I'm getting things wrong. So nobody knows everything about this topic. And then Andrew did the deep dive into regulatory, which for me, and then Cynthia and Joe talking about what Visions did, which I heard from that, but I still got a lot out of that. And then Larry's talk on risks made me want to modify my presentation on the fly, so we'll get to that in a second. So I want to talk about risks, both the risks of a credit union adopting cryptocurrency in whatever adopting means, but also the risk of ignoring the topic. And I speak to 2 to 3, 4 credit unions a week. Sometimes I get the privilege of speaking directly with the boards of directors of credit unions. This audience is a little bit different because you're here voluntarily. So, and people on live streaming are here voluntarily. A lot of times the board of directors are in the room and it's on the agenda. Lou is going to talk to you about cryptocurrency, so I have to try to convince them why they should pay attention to this. And I'm going to use some of those analogies also. But I do want to, again, give you maybe a different framework, a different way of looking at things. So Patricia this morning alluded to the earliest days of the internet, and I want to double down on that. So go back to times when your household, every household in America, was getting round CDs, mailed, silver CDs, we don't even have those drives anymore, from AOL, from CompuServe. And if you're like me and you shoved the CD into your computer, into your tower, because nobody could afford laptops, there was no laptops, well, I guess there were, then, and you put in your credit card, then you were online. Didn't really know what online meant. In fact, there was a whole bunch of people who were saying, why does anybody need to be online? We were in the earliest days of the internet, not really being able to fathom that someday. Oh, remember Patricia mentioned buying pizza online. There was very few visionaries who could imagine a day when you would go online to purchase things from Amazon and have them delivered to your house, or order groceries on Instacart to be delivered to your house. There was no way back in the, what are we talking, 93-ish, that you could imagine that there would be a pandemic in 2020 and my credit union would close its branches and tell me that I should do all of my banking online. And there was absolutely no way standing back there, looking over this horizon, this horizon called the internet, 30 years ago now, and recognize that in about 30 years, online social media would influence elections in the US, right? We just couldn't picture any of that. Where am I going with this? Because that's what I believe that's where I believe we are with cryptocurrency. We're at this beginning and we don't know what's on the other side of the horizon. We just can't picture, like we couldn't figure out what this internet was going to bring us, both good and bad, and I believe cryptocurrency will bring us things in the future that are good and bad. We just can't see over that horizon. One thing I can guarantee you, the horizon for cryptocurrency is going to be a lot shorter than the horizon for the horizon for the internet was, as in I think things are going to happen a lot quicker. So going back to, I'll stretch out my analogy, because Laura just said something about Bitcoin and being beyond Bitcoin. So going back to my, you signed up for AOL and you were online, and you had access to content. You were in a walled garden. The only content you could access was what AOL could provide you, or CompuServe could provide you. We did get an email address which connected us, but that was about it. But then look what happened. Along came Netscape, the first open browser, and we were no longer confined to the walled garden. And Alta Vista, a search engine that would go crawl the web every night and then bring back the results. They were mostly useless and cryptic, but now you had the ability to harness all the stuff on the internet. Again, both good and bad. And then, where'd I go with it? Netscape. So Netscape goes away, and then along comes Internet Explorer, and then we get Chrome. And then Alta Vista there's something better, so Ask Jeeves and Bing, and of course we have Google now. I'm willing to step out on a limb and predict that there's no more AOL, there's no more CompuServe today, right? Maybe in 10 years from now, we'll be looking back and say, remember that Bitcoin thing that everybody was all excited about? So it is potential that the things we see today, Bitcoin as we know it, which is super inefficient as far as processing on its blockchain, maybe that goes away and there's so much more potential here. So that's the kind of the foundation of the paradigm shift that I want you to think of is, it's not just about, should I offer my members the ability to buy wholesale Bitcoin, although that's kind of where we are right now, but I'm looking a lot further out and excited about the investment potential, yeah, the currency potential, yes, and then the utility of it all. Another perspective that's kind of interesting to me, I've been in payments for years and years and years, and think of how long we worked on getting a chip on a card, and then how much it was of a brain cramp when we did that, and then they didn't work in some terminals, and some of the cards weren't being done right, and then getting contactless cards out, and that took years and years and years. But look at this cryptocurrency. So back just before the pandemic, nobody was talking about a couple of us geeks were talking about it maybe and involved and excited about the potential for blockchain, but CNN and Fox News, I'm trying to be bipartisan here, we're not reporting on the price of Bitcoin today and how much it's up and how much it's down. And it just wasn't that interesting to the mainstream. But then the pandemic happened, right? We weren't spending our money on dining or traveling. We weren't putting gas in our cars. Some of us didn't have to pay our rent. Some of us were getting stimulus funds. And every credit union saw all their shared draft, shared savings accounts grow at the start of the pandemic. And a lot of us, me included, was looking for some place to put our money. And at the time then, my credit union dropped their money market and shut down pretty much new CDs. So I was stuck with 0.05% in my share savings. And that kind of sucked, and I'm like, where should I put my money? Think of what happened to the stock market at the start of the pandemic. It came down very sharply, very quickly. And to the end of March, to April, we still didn't know where the bottom was of the stock market. But there's this Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin, which started out as a joke and is not a joke anymore. And it's not, at that time, it's not tracking like the stock market. In fact, it's going up. I don't understand it really, but it's going up. And so a lot of people discovered this new thing, cryptocurrency. And then to me, the peak, the inflection point of people's understanding that there is this new thing out there was this. Who recognizes what this is? Shout it out. This is the audience participation time. It is a QR code, but what specifically? Thank you. Who said that? Oh, Joe, you know that one. So Super Bowl commercial, February 2022, to me was this inflection point where from that point forward, every American knew that there was this thing called Bitcoin. They may not understand it. They may not believe in it. They may not even figure out, and I've spoken with boards, credit union boards, where that guy is saying, I don't get it. Why would anyone want to buy that? And then here's the other board members going, well, wait, it attracts younger members. We want to attract younger members, and our members are doing it anyway, right? I don't get it. But at least everybody had heard of it at this point, too. Here's my anecdotal example. My dad, God love him, he still has a flip phone, but he asked me, what is Bitcoin? I was so excited. Dad, I'm going around talking to credit unions and speaking at conferences, and so I tried my best to explain what Bitcoin was, and I'm not sure it really sunk, and that's the whole point, is you got to hear this stuff 2, 3, 4 times before you can maybe start to wrap your head around it, because it is a paradigm shift. But back to risks. The risk is not oh, well, I'll miss out on the revenue opportunity, or maybe I'll lose members or something. No, the risk is not being able to see the vision. The risk is being left behind. Nobody knows where this is going to go, but I want every credit union to be ready for where it's going. So, in fact, I don't even know where I'm going. There's a couple of risks that I want to identify for you, and one is the risk of competition, then the risk that your members are already engaged in this, and the third risk is going to be that credit unions may not be prepared to pivot when it's time to pivot. So first, competition. If you believe that a lot of credit unions agree that Venmo is kind of competition to them, right? So I can put my money there, I can store my money there. I can have my paycheck direct deposited at Venmo, and a lot of people use where your paycheck is going as the indication of your primary financial institution. I can get a debit card from Venmo. Lou has a credit card from Venmo, 3% cash back. I can buy crypto. So those are kind of like banking services, right? Well, now look at what the exchanges are doing. Don't believe for a minute that the exchanges are going to be happy with just people going there. And the earlier question, do I buy Bitcoin with cash? Yes, you go to Coinbase for the most part. You go to Coinbase and then you give them your debit card number or your account number, routing number, and it's ACH, and you are buying Bitcoin. And Coinbase has the top 100 cryptocurrencies. I use Coinbase only because they're the largest exchange in the US, but by far not the only one. So now let's look at what the exchanges are doing. I can certainly store my money there in the form of crypto. I can have my paycheck direct deposited to Coinbase. Dangerous as hell, but yeah, there are people doing that. I can get a debit card from Coinbase, which allows me to spend my crypto at any merchant that accepts, I think they're MasterCard? That's not Coinbase. I'm not sure if they're MasterCard or Visa. Visa and MasterCard have wrapped up all the exchanges, kind of split the market. But that allows me to spend my crypto at any merchant. The merchant doesn't have to accept crypto. This is being converted at the point of transaction on that debit card. I can get a credit card from my exchange and get cash back in the form of my favorite cryptocurrency coin, typically richer than what most credit card programs are doing, but again, there's risk involved in it. But wait, there's a couple of new banking functions here. I can get a loan from the exchange instantly, online, anytime, day or night, no creditworthiness test. I'm staking my collateral, but is this a competition to credit unions? Kind of. There are people certainly doing this. What I do see is it's raising the bar. So it's not going to put credit unions out of business. But if people are going to expect that I can get a loan anytime, day or night, I don't need a credit union account, I just need internet access, then maybe when my credit union takes 30 days to get back to me through the underwriting process, maybe they can do a little bit better than that because their competition is doing better than that. And competition here, but I mean is exchange. There's one more feature, there's one more banking thing that the exchange now allows you to do that certainly my credit union doesn't do, at least not today, is to become a lender, right? So yes, indirectly, I'm a lender at my credit union because my deposits are being used to be loaned out. But no, here I can stake my collateral and put that up and get, what, 6% return? What's the, up to 8% return, according to Coinbase. Not guaranteed, completely at risk, but I can now be a lender and get return on my assets that I'm staking, that I'm putting up. So every credit union needs to be kind of looking over their shoulder at the competition because these are services that people are going to, and some of those people are your members. And speaking of your members going to these services, this is something like PSU's top 10 debit, credit unions that PSU processes debit for. Debit transactions over a 2-year calendar period going to Coinbase. That is, if you can imagine, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Does not include ACH, and there's way more dollar volume going through ACH than there is over debit. I'm guessing you guys at Vision see that too? More ACH than debit? It's pretty consistent. I just lost my train of thought. So I just put this graph together to show $10 to $20 million a month is flowing from credit unions' share accounts, deposits, to Coinbase, just that one exchange. And again, when deposits, were growing because of the pandemic, that was never an issue. But there will be a time when there's, again, competition for deposits, and at the same time, you're losing deposits. We've seen about a tenfold increase in the amount flowing from credit union accounts to the exchanges each year consistently. I think that will level off, but it's certainly not going to decline, I don't believe. There's something else that really caught my attention on this, and that is somebody this morning, Patricia, somebody alluded to this, that if you see there's a peak in April, crypto, it was like end of April, and so roughly the beginning of May, because debit data is a little bit delayed in reporting. Crypto reached this magic number of $64,000, and that's like this human psyche, especially for Americans. 64,000 is like, the $64,000 question. Or does anybody remember the $64,000 pyramid game show? Going back in time. But then there was another peak in November, and it's like, why did everybody rush out there? Oh, because it actually approached 67,000, I believe, in November. So this is the risk here, is that your members are doing it, but more importantly, your members are doing stupid things. They're buying at the peak because this mentality of Powerball jackpot goes to 100 million, rush out and buy tickets because I don't want to miss out. So the wrong time, and this is where member education is so important. The wrong time to buy is at the peak, and yes, I know we don't know the peak except in hindsight, but certainly when you see this run up and everybody's going, that may not be the right, no, that is absolutely not the right thing to do. If you think buying Bitcoin is good for you, then do so in moderation. Never put up your life savings. Do investments over time, et cetera. This is the kind of education that I'm seeing credit unions offer. On the subject of members doing stupid things, Larry brought up, right, he was the one remote talking about scams and things like that. He talked about a pump and dump. And as he was saying that, I wanted to go back and cover that because this is a fascinating story of people doing stupid things. However, I think I want to disagree with Larry that I do not believe this was intended to be a pump and dump. So he mentioned Squid Games. How many people have ever heard of the wildly popular Netflix series called The Squid Games? I tried to watch it. I made it through the first 2 shows. It is so violent. But with that said, it is so wildly popular. So there was a programmer, anonymous, male, female, don't know, and they must have liked the show. Oh, wait, one thing to keep in mind. Anybody can start a new coin. It's just open source software. You need a server, and you're not going to get your coin most likely traded on Coinbase. But anybody can have their coin. So this anonymous programmer started up a new coin, and he called it the Squid Coin. And sold it, it was like a nominal 2 cents per coin. Everybody come on and buy my Squid Coin. And so you go into the server and you send him the money, and then you buy a Squid Coin. And a Reddit group, so if you remember a while ago, Reddit group, that like a lot of people hadn't even heard of those, but Reddit group became popular because a Reddit group saw that their beloved GameStop, where you can buy secondhand games, was being shorted by institutional investors, and they wanted to stick it back to those institutional investors. So the Reddit group got everybody to go into Robinhood and buy GameStop, drive up the price, and all the institutional shorts had margin calls on them, so those institutional investors lost a lot of money. All right, so now go back to GameStop, now go back to Squid Coin, and there's a Reddit group that picks up on this. Hey, there's a Squid Coin. It's associated with Squid Games, and it might be really valuable. Maybe I'm being completely naive because it's an anonymous person, and we still don't know who this is or why they did what they did. But it's just a person who started a new coin. But here's what happened. So launches in October, which in crypto time frame is ages ago, but it was just this past October, at 2 cents. Reddit group gets a hold of it. CNBC must monitor this because CNBC picked up the story just 2 days later, right? So this is October 26th. It's now October 28th, and it started at 2 cents. It's now at $2.22 per coin. So people are reading all the CNBC. Here was the irresponsible part. That last line on the bottom, I'll read it for you. The Squid token was launched as the exclusive coin of the Squid Game project. That was bad reporting. And they later checked, CNBC checked with Netflix, they checked with the director of the series, and both of them said, we have nothing to do with this coin. It was too late because the CNBC article was already out to where now it's trading, 1 day later, at $11.95. The hashtag is trending, And as you can imagine, and people are starting to say, hey, it's like getting a little rich for me. I bought it at, someplace between 2 cents or $2. And now I want out, but I can't sell it. Well, of course you cannot sell it. It's not traded on any exchange. There's no mechanism. The kid just started a program that buy a coin for whatever it's going for, there's your squid coin. Put it in your wallet. And people are starting to complain that, like, I can't get out. You would think that at that point, okay, we got to stop. Nope. No, it goes up all the way to $2,856 on November 1st, at which point then the programmer pulls the plug on it. I really don't think that that's what he or she or they started out to do when they just put up this coin for fun. Maybe they did, I don't know. But this is why member education is so important, because likely some of those, I'd put it here, but some of those like 10,000 people who invested in those coins, some of those were your members. And people will do stupid things if you don't educate them. Some of them, you'll educate them and they'll still do stupid things. But Larry mentioned this story, and I just wanted to highlight that because I found it fascinating. Another thing that your members are going to be doing is buying NFTs. And I promised that I wouldn't dump on you new information. I lied. So NFTs, I'm not going to tell, speakers on this topic love to talk about non-fungible means, blah, blah. No, you don't have to worry about any of that. When you buy Bitcoin, that is a token on a blockchain. I'm oversimplifying things. You can also buy a piece of art, and that is represented by a token on a blockchain. So when I mentioned the Super Bowl was the inflection point for the raising cryptocurrency to the mainstream zeitgeist, I believe that Paris Hilton being on Jimmy Fallon's show was that inflection point, to a much smaller extent, of people being aware of NFTs, don't understand what they are, don't know why you would do this, but there's these things, these stupid art pieces, in this case a Bored Ape Yacht Club, that Paris Hilton was trying to explain to Jimmy Fallon. You can see by his face, he's like, what, huh? But then a week later, Gwyneth Paltrow buys another Bored Ape Yacht Club for $228,000. And at this point, I'm like trying to figure out why. But it's a community, right? So everybody who buys a Bored Ape Yacht Club is in this community, and there are exclusive events for owners of these. And I guess you're hoping that, Eminem, Snoop Dogg got involved, Madonna. And so I guess you're hoping by buying one of these, like us mere mortals, that are going to be invited to these exclusive events. More realistic is the NBA, National Basketball Association, has a whole series of NFTs, and these are videos. It's not limited to still art or GIFs. NBA sells, I think it's Great Shots. You own like a couple of seconds of video, but it's really cool. It's like a multi-camera angle of a valuable less than a moment in basketball, like Shaq dunking or an amazing three-point throw that just was nothing but net. And why are people buying it? For two reasons. One, pride of ownership. I own that 5 seconds of history, but also I'm part of this community, this club in which I get access to exclusive merchandise. I have to pay for it. Exclusive merchandise or special NBA events or like a meet and greet kind of thing like that. It's a community. So that's at least that was my way of trying to understand why people are buying NFTs. Art, represented by an NFT. Now I'm really hosed. This is an artist named Beeples. Doesn't matter that you never heard of him. $69 million is what he sold this digital artwork for. So there's one person, one owner. Again, the fact that they own this, you can copy this as many. It's just digital art. I did. I'm showing you a copy of it. But there's only one unique owner. This is called First 5,000 Days. So this artist got started a couple of years ago doing digital art each day. He produced a new piece of digital art, and the kind of the culmination was the first 5,000 days. Each one of you can keep zooming in, and each one is a full screen image of one of those digital artwork. $69 million, which, as far as I know, is the most money ever spent for a artwork NFT. Put a pin in that because I'm going to come back to that. And then there's these things. CryptoPunks. There's CryptoKitties. There's so many series. Some of these CryptoPunks went for between $9 million and $23 million for the simple 8-bit art. At that point, I'm trying to explain it to an audience, and it's like, at that point, I throw my hands up. I don't see any reason why somebody would pay that much money, even pride of ownership. But then, this happened. All right, so again, philosophy. This morning you heard about Satoshi Nakamoto, pseudonymous author. We don't know if it's a person, group of people, but wrote a white paper and then implemented what was in that white paper, which brought us blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And if you read the white paper, this is my interpretation of it. First, right, there had never been a thing, cryptocurrency. Again, like the beginning days of the internet, cryptocurrency, don't know what it is, but here was the gist of the paper. The promise of a global currency didn't recognize national borders. You could pay anyone anywhere in the world. You could buy something from anyone anywhere in the world. You did not need a credit union account. You did not need a bank account. There was no government who was going to be funneling money in, pushing money in to increase like printing money, basically like the Fed does, or when there's too much inflation, pulling money out of the market. There would be no government interference at all. That was the promise of cryptocurrency, at least the white paper about Bitcoin. Bitcoin did not fulfill that promise. I still believe that promise is out there waiting for us, and we will see that. All right, so why is there a picture of a house here? I live in St. Pete, Florida, in Pinellas County. This is the next town over is a small waterfront community called Gulfport. And there have been, before this, several transactions, real estate transactions, like in real life real estate transactions, that have been transacted in cryptocurrency. But I'm pretty sure this is the first real estate transaction that was conducted as an NFT auction, as in an NFT was created, just like those pieces of art, that Beeple's art that I showed you, or those CryptoPunks. There was an NFT created that represented ownership of this house, technically ownership of a business, an LLC that owns the house. And it was auctioned off. The winning auction was for 210 Ethereum, which I think at the time was worth about $680,000. Interesting, the value of the house has gone up since then. The value of the Ethereum has gone down since then. I don't know how to process that. But now think about this transaction. The buyer was not like coming along getting with a mortgage from a bank. The proceeds from the sale was not going into the seller's bank account, credit union account. I didn't mention. So I live in Pinellas County. Doc stamps and fees are thousands and thousands of dollars for the credit union to file a lien with the county to update their lien on my house. And in real life, Lou goes for a home equity line of credit with my credit union, and I have to pay doc stamps and fees. No, I just want $100,000 because I'm going to do renovations several years ago. I'm going to do renovations out of my house, and I don't know the timing of it, so I just want a line of credit for $100,000. Right? Yeah, you have to pay doc stamps and fees because we have to file the lien with the county. Look at this NFT sale, this NFT transaction. There was no credit union, no bank. There was no doc stamps and fees. There was no filing of anything with the county. The county sees basically the owner of the house still is this LLC, and the NFT transaction just represents change of ownership of the LLC represented by a token on a blockchain. To me, this was the moment that crypto promise actually was realized. So much risk, so much craziness involved. Like, did they really have clear title? Was it unencumbered? Was there any other claims to the house? No, we don't know any of that. There's so much risk. But to me, this was this is Netscape coming along and allowing me to search the internet and get out of my AOL walled garden. This person's looking to put together some more transactions. There's some other real estate transaction. There are some other people who are working on NFT transactions. But just imagine now me being able to go to my credit union and I want my home equity line of credit. And instead of my credit union filing doc stamps and fees and charging me closing costs, thousands and thousands in closing costs, instead they issue a token on a blockchain to represent their lien against my house. And there's a smart contract representing this transaction, this home equity line of credit, such that when I pay off my home equity line of credit or the time expires for it, then the smart contract recognizes that the credit union is released from their lien hold on my house and I'm owner of it again. This is just maybe a silly example or just one unique example, but this is the potential that I'm seeing over the over that horizon, that I want to make sure that credit unions are seeing this also and be ready to pivot to adopt blockchain for money movement between financial institutions, maybe adopt blockchain for auto transactions. Maybe a house is a little too risky, but for auto transactions, something like that. All right. To close things out, because this is talking about risks of offering and risks of not offering. That first one where I have growth opportunities, because I already had this slide. Think of the growth opportunities as the risk of not offering, or what you're missing out if you don't offer this. I do have revenue first, and I really, really want to downplay revenue, and I think Visions feels the same way, because if you're emphasizing the revenue aspect of it, then the credit union's priorities may be misplaced, and I don't want that to happen. It's not, the goal is not to encourage members to buy. It's to provide a safer, more compliant environment, lower transaction fees, hopefully, than the exchanges, or better than the scammy websites and going out and buying a squid coin. So revenue, but being able to offer options to your members, options instead of going to the Coinbase. The option, this is not meant as a plug, PSCU offers in our CU Rewards credit card rewards program the ability for members to get their rewards as a crypto. It's in the form of a gift card that they exchange that they redeem at the exchange. So it makes the credit union look maybe a little bit more progressive. It's an option without being that risky, because credit card rewards is kind of found money. The member acquisition. Unify has been mentioned earlier, and they have some great data. In their first 90 days, $1.1 million was spent through their Buy Wholesale portal, also a partnership with NYDIG. They had 5,500 new members that they acquired within that 90-day period. It's impossible to track that. You can't say that 5,500 new members because they offered Buy Wholesale. There's always going to be new member acquisition. But they did look at those members who they acquired, and the members that they acquired that did immediately turn around as soon as their accounts were funded and bought crypto. So rough correlation. Joe pointed out earlier that there's a lot more member engagement. Members who bought crypto, this is, I think Unify's number was 2.5 times, a lot less than the 60 times, but someplace in there is reality. 2.5 times more looking at their mobile banking app than the average member. And that's not just for the new members that they acquired, but that's for all the members. And then I really want to hit home, I think Cynthia brought this up. Unify looked at, of all the members, both new and existing members, that purchased crypto through their Buy Wholesale, a little over 12.5% of them were indirect members. Now I want to combine that, Cynthia mentioned that, and then I want to combine then, and members who buy crypto are 2.5, look at their mobile banking app 2.5 more times. Combine those two things together, and that's where another amazing breakthrough. Indirect members don't look at their mobile banking app, at least that credit union's mobile banking app, because they just have one auto loan with them. And now they're going to be looking at the credit union's online mobile banking app 2.5 times more than the average member. So now you have the opportunity to get to those members. So to me, that was just, I got off the topic of member acquisition, as you can figure out, but this just really struck me as, loans. There are people who are looking to, people who've purchased a Bored Ape Yacht Club, and maybe that's a little esoteric. People who bought Bitcoin years ago, and yes, it was up higher back in November, and it's down now, but it's still maybe $100,000, and now they're looking to buy a house, but they don't want to sell that $100,000 in Bitcoin because they're hoping that it will go back up again, but they also want to be able to buy a house, so they need access to that collateral. They can go to several neobanks now who will take that collateral into account in the underwriting process and their ability to repay. And that means that person didn't go to the credit union to get a loan. So that's again, the list of risks of not participating is the risk of missing out on those. I don't want to come across as, if you don't do it, you're missing out on these good things, because I've spoken with many credit unions who very correctly believe that this is not what's in their members' best interest. And carrying on with that theme, there are risks of offering this, that every credit union who's thinking about it is facing these risks, looking at these risks, hopefully assessing these risks. And the first is regulatory. so far the NCUA has offered guidance, and I spoke with board member Rodney Hood at length with this, and he explained to me, kind of funny, that, well, we did guidance because a guidance is just a letter to federally insured credit unions. Rules require voting. Guidance is just a letter that we wrote. And there is potential that either something out of the presidential order, that when that gets implemented, possibly the NCUA does something later that then undoes or prohibits some activity that credit unions have already stepped into. Like, what if you start taking into account existing Bitcoin or the existing Bored Ape Yacht Club that somebody bought in your underwriting process, and then later on the NCUA says, no, you cannot look at that as part of the underwriting, that's too risky. And it's like, oh, what about all those loans that I already issued based on that collateral? So regulation can change. Regulation, I'm sure, will change. We just don't know what it's going to change to. Reputational risk, everybody talks about that. You enter into this new space, and then some member loses money and then drags this out through social media, and then you have to deal with that in the press. I've not seen this play out. I hope it never plays out, but it's got to be mentioned. Partner risk, right? So you've heard mentioned NYDIG. That's just one partner. There are several other partners out there, potential partners out there. And there's risk that you choose the wrong partner because they're not offering the services that your members want. Like maybe Bitcoin only is not enough, and maybe your members want Ethereum and Dogecoin and other things. Or you pick a partner who has not done adequate cybersecurity controls and they get hacked. Or you pick a partner and you do your due diligence and you look at how much insurance they have. The insurance that if there is a total and catastrophic failure of the exchange because they get hacked, because of a software bug, whatever, that they have the insurance to cover that. And it may be enough insurance for the total assets that they are being a custodian of right now. Well, what happens when it goes back up to where it was last November? Is then there enough insurance to cover the total assets that they are custodianing? Risks of picking the wrong partner or the partner not living up to promise. And again, we're looking over this horizon, this future, and we don't know what's on the other side. It's so exciting and at the same time unknown. And so the risk is we don't know where this is all going to go. There might not be a Bitcoin in 10 years from now. We might all be just having our digital wallets with us and spending our crypto and showing everybody our NFTs like we show off photos on our phone right now. So we don't know where this is going. We don't know how fast it's changing. But the goal is that every credit union that I speak to, I want them to recognize that it's here, your members are doing it, and they're going to continue doing it, and you just need to know about it and hopefully educate them on the goods and the bads of doing that. One quick plug. I know Visions has some great information on it. Coinbase has some great information of it. PSCU started a site called it's really easy to remember, pscu.com/crypto, pscu.com/crypto. If you go there, you'll find access to a bunch of like blog entries. There is a white paper that I sunk my heart into that I wrote the first version of this white paper last year, had it out about September, and then marketing says, this is a real story, marketing says, hey, can we use the white paper on this new crypto microsite that we're launching? It's like, well, yeah, of course, but oh, well, no, that's out of date, and no, the NCO guidance isn't in there, and then, oh, no, I have to talk about Squid Coin, and it's like, I ended up rewriting the whole paper, so I'm proud that, and of course, it was a team effort, but I'm proud of that. We also, and the white paper, feel it's for all credit unions to share. We also, I hope this doesn't, yeah, no. We produced a video. It's not me talking, but it's basically about 5.5 minute version of kind of my presentation. It's much more educational. And the video is intended for anyone in this space to download and share with your board, share with your senior staff. It's not really intended for members. It's more for credit union education, although there's nothing wrong with sharing this with members. But it's intended that I can't talk to every board, although I'd like to, but here's a resource to pull down and share and do whatever you want with it. So pscu.com/crypto. And, oh, resource. Grilli@pscu.com. Please feel free to keep the conversation going, and I'll make myself available. There's so much that I don't know, so then I usually turn to my colleagues and because I have a good network, including Joe and Cynthia, that I turn to. It's like, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. And then Joe helps explain things to me. So that's, yeah, that's it. Where's Laura? We don't. No, thank you. Do we want to do questions now, or should we go into our? Lou. Al.
Like you say, it's been a long day. Anybody have any questions for Lou?
Hi. Thanks so much for presenting that. I feel like you were able to take all the abstract concepts that we've been dealing with and really show us like how it can be used. And I wish you did this so much earlier because so much more is clear. I have one question though. When the first speaker, I'm her granddad in the play. When she was going over the uses of money, when money was invented and what the purpose and all that was, one thing was mentioned, it was scarcity. And that's what makes it valuable. Where does the scarcity come into this? Because who says that, only 20 Bitcoins can be mined? Who knows that?
Yeah, there's, Lamont Black is a speaker on this speaking circuit, and he tried to I took issue with his explanation and the scarcity thing. So the way he he has this phenomenal ability, as opposed to me. I'm all over the place. I'm off on tangents. I lose people along the way. He has an amazing ability to just boil it down to its basic elements. And I can't do that. Also, he's a much better speaker than me. He does not say and the whole time. But he compared US dollars and Bitcoin. So what the US dollar is worth is controlled on the supply side, right? So the Fed can push more money out. That decreases the value a little bit, but that also makes goods in the US cheaper in other countries. And there's a whole bunch of other reasons, and stimulates the economy. When the Fed wants to control the supply, so it's all supply side, right? The Fed wants to control the money supply by pulling it back in, that increases the value. Bitcoin, the supply is fixed algorithmically, right? So the initial Bitcoin, which hasn't changed on its initial blockchain, has an algorithmic equation that miners can mine only so much, and it keeps halving, halving, so that the amount of Bitcoin that can be produced is half, and then half again, and half again. And there's an algorithmic limit of 21 million coins. Theoretically, we will never get to 21 million coins, because if you're a calculus geek, then an asymptotic curve is a curve that continuously approaches but never touches, right? Because it's going to be halved and halved and halved and halved, and it'll actually never approach 21. It'll never actually be 21 million. It's always going to be closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, with more decimal points out. But that is, so the supply side, as opposed to the US dollar, the supply side of Bitcoin is fixed. So now it's about demand. And so Bitcoin is worth what the next person will pay for it. And I really liked that explanation, but then let's talk about the second biggest coin, Ethereum. Oh, there's no limit on Ethereum. Well, then your whole conversation broke down. So there is no limit to the amount of Ethereum coins that can be minted. There are some decentralized cryptocurrencies that do have fixed amounts. There are some that don't. But then stable coins also do not have a fixed limit. For each time I spend $1 on USD coin, Circle, the exchange, will issue another coin. So there's no limit to the coins there. So the talk about, so I just want to say that it's so complex. There is not, some coins are limited on the supply side and some are not. But the bottom line is decentralized cryptocurrency, that is, there's no entity that's fixing the price. It's just worth whatever the market is based on, is just that. It is based, it's just market based. But no, say what? Lamont Black. But wait, I just want to, wait, I wrote it down someplace. Where is my?
It's actually going to be on our digital asset user group meeting speaking in September.
I want to share with you a perspective. One of the things that I'm just thinking of some of the board the conversations I've had with credit union boards, usually in person, so it kind of fosters discussion. And again, I mentioned the board member I remember he was sitting right there. There was a horseshoe-shaped table. I don't get it. why would I invest in Bitcoin? I can invest in anything. All right. So, and people get hung up on, well, it's really volatile, right? I want to stay away from it, or I don't want my members getting at it because it's super volatile. So I just looked this morning. If you go into Google and you can look at like stock prices of anything, Bitcoin, et cetera, and then you can click on like 1 day, 1 month, year to date, 1 year. I just picked arbitrarily 1 year. So January 23rd, 2022 back to January 23rd, 2021, Bitcoin is down 39% from this day 1 year ago. Q2 holdings is down 64% year to date. Alchemy, another major digital mobile online banking vendor, is down 62%. But wait, credit union, you think that that Bitcoin is too volatile, and yet you have invested resources in partnering with Q2, and that's not to disparage Q2 by any means. They're one of the leading vendors in the space, and their stock is down more than Bitcoin. I say that not to say, oh, Bitcoin's a better investment. No way am I saying that. But don't get hung up on the volatility. It's almost arbitrary. If I had obviously looked at Bitcoin from November of 2021 to now, it would be down a lot more. But tech stocks are down right now. That doesn't mean that, oh, get out of the stock market, it's too volatile. No, it just means that be more judicious as to what you're investing in, how much money you're investing in it, and you can't time anything, both crypto or the stock market. But that's just something that bothers me that I have to get out because it's one of my soapboxes. Who had you have a question? Oh, hold on. So the streaming people can hear you.
If I could just follow up on that analogy, though, the problem I have with that is that we don't call tech stocks currency, but we're trying it both ways when it comes to cryptocurrency. We're saying, oh, it sounds safer because it's currency, but it's not. Right now, it's an investment, and I'm concerned that what the industry is doing is potentially getting back into the trap of what the banks did in the 1920s when we sold securities because you couldn't lose. And then, guess what? We had a Great Depression. Now, I'm not saying we're going to have a Great Depression, but there's a huge difference between a currency backed by the U.S. government that is not going to be worthless unless we're all in trouble, and a Bitcoin, which everyone seems to agree, we don't know what it's going to be worth 10 years from now. So I do think as we go forward, that analogy, we have to keep in mind that what we are doing is getting close to encouraging our members to invest in a security. And I don't know if that's our role. That's why the overarching point that I think is so important to come out of this meeting is for those credit unions that are going to get involved with us. This is about education. It's not about facility. It's about making sure that the members know what they're getting into, because at the end of the day, you don't want your member to say, you know, I bought this totally worthless Bitcoin because of your advice.
So several things. One, I could not. Oh, that was a lot to repeat. That was a completely fair challenge. And second, I just want to say you have stated it so much better than I did. That that it's not fair to say that. Well, Lou, you just compared Q2 holdings with Bitcoin, or the U.S. dollar with Bitcoin, when we know that the dollar is backed up by the full faith of the government. It's not going to go to zero. Other Venezuela's currencies certainly went to close to zero. Argentina's did. U.S., we have a little more faith in it. And Q2 has a real product. There's no real product backing Bitcoin. So completely fair challenge. And also you said something really important, and that is it is not in the past where banks encouraged people to invest all their money in stocks, and then we had the Great Depression and so many other downfalls, the Great Recession in 2009. That it is not the place of credit unions, and I really want to emphasize that because you made a good point. It is absolutely not the place of credit unions to encourage members to invest in Bitcoin, nor even to invest in the stock market. But there's an opportunity for credit unions to, as you said, provide education, and for some credit unions who feel that it's in the best interest of their members to offer a safer environment to do so. And that's I think, the summary of it, but I like the way you said it better.
And I do agree with the whole point of if people are going to invest, particularly in the area of wallets. We do safe deposits all the time. We should be the ones going out there and saying, okay, don't worry about losing the password for that investment you made. We can hold on to things like that. So don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting you're not correct. There are certainly things we can do. We just have to be careful when we start comparing security. We call it a security at one point and a currency on the other. That's where I think everyone gets in trouble in this industry.
Oh, absolutely. But you also alluded to something. So you just mentioned something about offering basically, going back, and maybe this is not where you're going, but safe deposit box. So
No,
when I was younger, I had a safe deposit box. And in my safe deposit box, I kept my coin collection, physical coins, and I kept my baseball trading cards. I also kept my passport in there because I was a kid. I didn't travel much, not travel internationally. So I didn't have to forget I couldn't forget my password, but I better not lose that little key. So now roll forward, and my coin collection is my Bitcoin and Ethereum coin collection. My baseball trading cards are now NFTs. My passport is now my digital identity on a blockchain someplace. And I have to store that someplace, and I have to remember that password. And could a credit union, and I know I've spoken with Visions about offering a credit union branded digital wallet, and there's some people that get hung up on that. First, this is not Apple Pay. That's not that kind of digital wallet. It's a wallet to hold digital assets. But it's also not it's not a risk to the credit union as far as having assets on their books, no different than if you store your, I'm borrowing Joe's analogy. It's no different than if I store my diamond collection in a safe deposit box. That's not on the credit union's ledger. It's in their safe deposit box in their vault. But so can a credit union offer a digital wallet that will help the member deal with this paradigm shift of digital assets? And yes, I'd love to see that. And I know some credit unions are looking at that, especially Visions.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else have a question? Again, resources. Go to psu.com/crypto. Download the video, download the white paper, share it all you want, and thank you very much for your time.